the German government has recently launched a feminist development policy and strategy, which I think is very interesting and a very clear forward step towards more gender justice for women and girls, as well as marginalized groups. Could you please give us a little bit of an information about this strategy and policy and how BMZ implements it for vocational education projects? Very sharp and short, if possible.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. I will do my best. And hello, everyone. Also from me, I'm very happy to be here and talk about this very important and interesting topic. So, yes, the Feminist Development Strategy. We launched our Feminist Development Strategy last year. And with this, we want to lead the way on achieving equal opportunities for all people. So, Feminist Development Policy aims to overcome discriminatory power structures and deliver human rights-based policies for all people. And the Feminist Development Policy focuses on 3 pillars, which we call the 3 Rs, which is first, equal representation, second, strengthening the rights and eliminating discriminatory laws and norms, and thirdly, improving access to resources as critical factors for just, resilient, and sustainable, peaceful societies. The Feminist Development Policy mainstreams feminist core principles in projects and promotes gender equality. And an integral part of the Feminist Development Policy is its gender transformative approach. With also before the policy, we always try to promote women, also in TVET. And we had projects aiming at providing vocational training to a certain number of women, for example. But now with the gender transformative approach, we want to go further and also tackle the structural causes of inequality. So this, I think, is one of the new approaches with this feminist development policy. And with our commitment to a feminist development policy, we have also set ourselves a very ambitious goal, a quantitative goal, which is we want to increase the proportion of all projects promoting gender equality to 93% by 2025, meaning 93%. So virtually all of our projects of BMZ development cooperation will promote gender equality. So this, I think, it's quite an ambitious goal. We are currently at 64%. So we have a lot to do in 2 years. But in the area of technical and vocational education and training, we are already on the right track. We have looked at our portfolio and technical cooperation, and we saw that already in 89% of our TVET projects and technical cooperation, we are already promoting gender. So we're on a good path in TVET, but of course, there is still a lot to do also. Because the 93% aim is addressing the OECD GE1 and GE2 markers, meaning, of course, the vast majority of projects is rather on gender-sensitive projects, GE1 markers, than on gender transformative actions. And we see that particular on gender transformative actions, there is still a lot of room for improvement, really to increase the number of projects with the principal objective of gender equality. And this is also true for projects in the area of TVET. Currently in BMZ portfolio, we have around 4% of projects, sorry, these are a lot of numbers, but 4% of projects which really have gender equality as a principal objective. And we want to raise this number by 2025 to 8%. So we are talking about a GE2 marker where we want to double the project with the GE2 marker. And this is also quite a challenge for TVET projects because we don't have many TVET projects currently where gender equality is a principal focus. So this is also something that, is room for action for us. And together with our partners, we are rolling out gender transformative approaches in our projects and programs. And with this, support the reform of discriminatory social structures and norms. I think that society at large should be involved in the critical appraisal of power relations and gender norms, and also men and boys, male decision makers, Dominique also mentioned it, as well as local, traditional, and religious authorities should also be addressed on a targeted basis as also key agents of change. And this, in the area of TVET, this also means that we need to consider new agents in our project. Yeah, more specifically, maybe 1 or 2 words about what we do in TVET. I think this is also quite similar to SDC, what Dominique mentioned. We support equal access to vocational education, to the formal labor market, and decent work. And we specifically promote female entrepreneurs and women-led businesses and women's participation in training, in reskilling, and professional development programs, with a particular focus on green jobs. With education is an important basis for social, economic, and political participation, and it strengthens peaceful social cohesion. So we see that education itself can also be gender transformative, because through education, we can counteract harmful gender norms and help every individual to develop their full potential regardless of their gender. So we can achieve gender equality in education and through education. So there's maybe a double role for education and TVET. Yeah, BMZ is working to ensure that our implementing organizations also integrate feminist core elements into their work, and we advocate for the right to education and lifelong learning for girls and women. And yeah, maybe I leave it at this for now.
How the organizations, the donor agencies are measuring gender equality and social inclusion, and what the minimum quantitative or qualitative indicators are, which are at this point in use or which you are planning to use.
We at BMZ, we are currently working on a development policy action plan on gender equality from 2023 to 2027. So in short, a Gender Action Plan 3 is what we call it. It's a process that's underway, and the Gender Action Plan will be published in October 2023. And it underpins the strategy for feminist development policy, which I mentioned earlier, with concrete goals, measures, and indicators, and will demonstrate the impact. So it focuses on the global south and civil society actors at national and international level. Yeah, I said it, it's still a work in progress. It will define thematic priorities, education being a part of them, and specify the objectives of the strategy. So this, unfortunately, we don't have it yet, but we look forward to this because it will be a very good basis to measuring impact. As for currently used indicators, we have a set of globally aggregated indicators, which are measured in all funded projects of BMZ throughout our portfolio. And for TVET, there are 2 globally aggregated indicators disaggregated by sex, which are first, the number of people who have participated in vocational training measures in BMZ-funded projects, and the number of vocational training personnel who have participated in training measures. So, of course, yeah, these indicators are relatively broad, but we have to bear in mind if we use indicators for all our projects, they have to be relatively broad so that we can generate results in the overall portfolio. So these are the 2 indicators we have already, which are disaggregated by sex. However, unfortunately, there are currently no standard GZ indicators mainstreamed in order to ensure that projects can address specific partner needs and the country context. So GZ is therefore measured by project individually and more guided by overall strategic documents. So global aggregated indicators, we only have the two mentioned, and then we have specific individual indicators for each project, which are guided by our strategic documents. Yeah, but this is also why we are really looking forward to the upcoming Gender Action Plan. A new feature to the action plan will be the establishment of an impact measurement system, and this will specify targets as, for example, inclusive access to quality education, and the development of these indicators is still in progress, and currently there is a broad consultation ongoing. Yeah, I think it can be said that the impact measurement system will specify transformational impacts and therefore social norms, and most likely also topics such as the role of gender and just transition. But of course, much more we cannot say because it's still yeah, in preparation. Wherever possible, efforts are made to build the statistical and data analysis capacities of our relevant partner institutions also, in order to mainstream the approach of collecting and using gender data for inclusive policy making, because we often see, of course, also in our partner institutions that the databases is very scarce and often not even using gender data or disaggregating by gender. So with this gender action plan, we think the Gender Action Plan will ensure transparency in the implementation of our feminist development policy, and there is also a midterm review and reflection process foreseen to especially focus on gender transformative aspects and grasp the change of power relations and norms, which are quite difficult to capture. But so this is more a glimpse into the future of what is to come. But for now, we have to work with the very few indicators that we have, which are disaggregated.